Hey guys, hey everyone, welcome. Today is May the 21st. It's been officially 6 months since Madalina Cojocari has been missing, and we are going to cover this case today. Let's spread awareness for Madalina. Want to welcome anyone that's new to the Madalina Cojocari case. We have some updates and some information, and we're going to go back to the beginning just to do a review for anyone that might be new to the case. For those that don't know me, I'm Alley Cat. I am part of Sluggy Sleuth's group for the Where is Madalina Cojocari Facebook group. If you haven't already, please make sure that you join the group. Lots of information and updates are shared there. We have lots of great media, friends, and outlets there. So feel free to come join us anytime. And I've got Juju Bones with me tonight. She's a part of our admin group as well. So give her a welcome. And we're just going to chat away. Are you ready, Juju?
I am ready.
I am ready. So 6 months today that Madalina was last seen getting off of her school bus. Her parents did not report her missing. They are in jail. The mother was actually recently in March caught with drugs while in jail. She was holding them on her person for 5 days, which extended or increased her bond. So let's go back to the beginning, and we are going to share a little bit of a timeline to take everyone back, and we're going to go all the way back to November of 2022, actually, which is kind of crazy. So going all the way back to November 2022, I'm going to share my timeline that I have with everybody. So let's see. Let me scroll down. I'm going to share this with everyone. Let's see. All right. So we're going to go back. We've got November 2022 here. So November 2022, we have it kind of cut down in half. So back on November 21st, again, Maddie was last seen getting off of her school bus in her neighborhood at 4:59 p.m. If you haven't seen that video footage, any of our news outlets, WCNC, WSOC, they all have it playing today. She was last seen wearing white t-shirt, jeans, and pink and purple and white Adidas shoes. She gets off her school bus and no one sees her again, except for her parents. So Maddie is missing from school. So the 22nd, 23rd, that week is the week of Thanksgiving break for her school district here in North Carolina. School break for Thanksgiving was Wednesday the 23rd, all the way through that end of the week. So everyone was reporting back to school on that Monday. So she's missing on Monday the 21st, is not in school on the 22nd, so she's absent. The kids have their Thanksgiving break. No one's really thinking much of it, right? And we see on here on the timeline that since the case has, been, investigated and whatnot, we do have some updates here. This is when we think that Madalina's mom had taken her to the mountains, in Marshall, North Carolina, near Lonesome Mountain Road. She was possibly seen there. We're guessing around the 22nd of November, maybe through the end of November. We can't really confirm, but there were some stories that allegedly she was seen there. So the police did go and search Marshall County, Lonesome Mountain Road area in Madison County, which is pretty isolated, guys. Pretty creeps. Not many places to stop and kind of do like the Mountain View situation. So at any rate, she's missing on the 22nd, 21st, 22nd time frame. We go into the 23rd. On the 23rd, Diana has claimed that her and Chris, when Chris is her stepfather, Chris Palmetter is her stepfather, that Diana is the mom, Chris is the stepdad, that they got into an argument. And then he takes off for Michigan. We can't confirm nor deny that he was in Michigan, but allegedly he took a Michigan trip only for a short time frame during that time frame. And he was back, returned on the 26th, and we believe also that Diana had returned on that Saturday as well. Only because we'd had some locals that work in the area confirm that they had seen them in their local store. So on the 27th of November, the neighbors in their community started to report that there was some burning in their backyard. This burning started on the 27th of November, and this burning continued all the way through the time frame when they were arrested. So just so you guys know, it's a long couple weeks that they keep burning things in their backyard. Madalina obviously is missing from school starting, the 28th when everyone else comes back, and she's not in school again. No one has seen her since. So that's November. Okay. So let me go to December here. Okay. So in December, we do have a local that confirms that she saw Chris and Diana, again, stepdad and the mother, in the store together, separately and or together during this time frame where they have been lying. They lied to this person who is pretty close to the family that works in their local store, saying that Madalina was at a sleepover or stayed after school or whatnot. So the local that works pretty closely and had been, working closely and developed a relationship with Madalina can confirm that Madalina was not seen in the store, but her mother and stepfather were in the store. And at this point, we see Madalina is absent from school, continues to be absent from school, which is raising some red flags, right? So the burning is continuing in the yard. Madalina is absent from school. Things aren't just, they're not adding up at this point. So
Also, I think that it's notable that local told us that they were all over each other in the store after Madalina went missing.
yes, pretty
Lots of
gross,
PDA.
guys. Pretty disgusting. So if your kid, they at this time, we know that they knew obviously that she wasn't, she was not at home. She was missing at this point. But yet they're in the grocery store kissing and making out and stuff. Like, ew. Like, that just is wrong, right? So during all of this, again, absent from school, we get to the 12th of December. Madeline is still absent from school, but the SRO, which is their school resource officer, and the counselor at her middle school, they go to Madalina's house, okay? Because at this point, she's not been seen in school since November 21st. It's not like her to be absent. Very strange. We think someone maybe, threw up some red flags. I have confirmation that a staff member that works at the middle school also lives in her neighborhood. So between the burning in the backyard, being the absent from school, all that's going down. At this point, red flags, right? Something's wrong. So the school resource officer and the counselor go to Madalina's house on December the 12th. They go, they knock on the door. No one answers the door. They obviously see cars in the driveway, but no one's coming to that door. So they leave the truancy packet at the house and they call it a day. The 13th goes by. There's no action. But on the 14th of December, Madalina's mom calls the school. Okay. She schedules an appointment for December the 15th to go in and talk to the counselor about truancy. Because obviously she got the truancy packet. I'm sure the verbiage of it all, I've seen it in North Carolina. It's pretty scary, right? It says we're going to throw you in jail. Your kid's not here, blah, blah, blah. So it probably freaked her out. So she called the school on the 14th of December, schedules a time to go and meet with the counselor the following day and says, quote, I'm going to bring Maddie along. Okay. So on the 15th, she does show up to school, but without Madalina. All right. So she's meeting with the counselor. She starts going over some things. Red flags are flying. Counselor calls in the school resource officer. And at that point in time, the school resource officer says, where is the stepdad? Get him on the phone. At this point, she's reported missing by the mother. So if it weren't for her school forcing the truancy issue, the mother never would have reported Madalina missing. Okay, so that is a fact. We know that if the school had not gotten involved, obviously the mom, we don't really know what would have happened. We may not have known at all that she was missing. I think possibly later on down the line, maybe we would have. But at any rate, if the school did not push them, then I don't think we would have known she was missing in December. I think we would have known a lot later. But at this point, Madeline's officially reported missing. Remember, the burning in the backyard is still going on. That is what's the craziest part. And it continues up until the morning of the arrests. So they get arrested. Chris Palmetto, the stepdad, gets arrested first. And then 12 hours later, the mom gets arrested. And they're both in the Mecklenburg County Detention Center, right? So they are being held for failure to report a missing child. All right. So that's what they're being held for. They're not cooperating in the case. In December, after they get arrested, their bond is set $250,000 each. Diana is part of her, bond is what the electric monitoring device. They have another hearing. I believe it was in January sometime, and Chris Palmetto agrees, I'll wear one too if I get released. They both had to surrender their passports. All of that was going on, but yet they're not helping the police. They're not telling the police anything. They're not really helping in the investigation at all. So that's where we are right now. Obviously, since then, some things have come out. Since their arrest, that's when we learned about Diana Cojocari being in the mountains. Allegedly, they found her in her car, which is a green Prius, passed out. She may have looked like she was either intoxicated or on drugs or something, allegedly. And we couldn't find that. I don't believe we could find that call on the scanners. To the best of my knowledge, we could not find that. But I think someone has her on video somewhere. She was eating at a restaurant at some point, and that's in the mountain area. It wasn't quite where she was on Lonesome Mountain Road, but it was like she was headed towards there. And there's some other news that has come out. There were narcotics. There were dogs that sniffed them out of her car. They hit on that car twice. I know it's been taken by the police. It's being held as evidence in the case. And their passports were also found in the car. Both Maddie and Diana's passports were found in the car. And there's some speculation that Diana was in touch with a family member, and that family member was going to try to help smuggle Madalina out of the country. But we haven't heard much else about that at all. So that's where we are right now. And again, in March, they found drugs on her person. Diana in jail, I believe it was fentanyl and cocaine. She had them on her person for 5 days before someone found out. She claims she found them in the shower, but they increased her bond by $5,000, and they keep pushing their court dates. So they were supposed to be in court May 11th. They pushed that now to August 27th, which for us, we think this means that they may have some evidence that will help find Madalina, and there's some hope there that she might still be alive. We don't really know, but any thoughts, Juju, on that? It's pretty quick timeline coverage, but that's where we are with things.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty quick to cover the timeline because once the investigation starts after she's missing, they just have not gave us any documents. Like they've released one set of them, and they were heavily redacted. Like you couldn't even make out how long the words were on them to even guess what they said. Nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've kept this one really close to the vest.
Absolutely. There's absolutely no information other than the 3 cell phones that they found. It's just really disheartening that we haven't had more information out about this case. And I do think that morale is affected. Every time we get just a little bit of information from law enforcement, it's kind of like a glimmer of hope. So it can, resurrect this case and, get people chatting again and stuff. Even though the mom was found with drugs, at least it brought the case back into the media, right? So everything's gotten really, really quiet on the case. I will share a video. Actually, the Cornelius Police Department released this today on the six-month anniversary of her going missing. I can share that with us. Let's see. This is the video. So sweet, sweet video. And it just shows her, you know, being a little girl, you know, happy, healthy, enjoying life. And some other good news is we did an interview with WCNC today, and they have the story up on their website. And we can actually look at that too while we're at it. Let's see.
That's one thing that I really like about Madalina's case. It seems like the locals and the people that's in, like, what are they, the Charlotte area, are really trying to
Yes.
keep her name out there. I mean, even like
Yes.
reporters and stuff. So that's always good.
Let's see. Let me pop this on here. All of our news channels have done some updates today, but we specifically spoke with WCNC. So I can play that for everybody here too. I'll wait to unmute before, you know, I don't think anyone wants to watch our ads.
Cornelius girl went missing. Madalina Cojocari was last seen getting off a school bus back on November 21st. Her mother and stepfather remain behind bars, facing felony charges for failing to report her disappearance. Today, the Cornelius Police Department sharing new video of Madalina, shown enjoying time at the beach as well as the pool. Police are still asking for anyone with information on her whereabouts to come forward. WCNC Charlotte's Jesse Pierre bringing us their story now from Cornelius.
Yes, the search for Madalina Cojocari continues, and with new video and images shared today, community members I spoke to say it brings a new sense of hope that Madalina will be found safe. Cornelius police shared this video on social media saying Madalina should be getting ready to enjoy the warm summer months at the beach and swimming. The video shows Madalina at the beach and at the pool in a mermaid costume. The police department says along with the State Bureau of Investigation, they continue to work to find and bring Madalina home. Meanwhile, asking the public to help by sharing her photo. It is something members of groups like Where is Madalina Cojocari saying 6 months later, they continue to do to help raise awareness about the missing young girl.
We continue to spark that hope just by spreading her name and her story. Our group's going live tonight just to do a 6-month case review. Any day you can reach someone new, and that someone new may have some more information for us that we didn't have before, that law enforcement can find useful in bringing Madalina home to those that care and love for her.
The case has raised many questions about Madalina's disappearance and comes with conflicting statements from both Madalina's mother and stepfather, who maintain they do not know where Madalina is. The police department is asking folks to take a hard look at the video and the pictures, and anyone with information is asked to come forward. Now, for a breakdown timeline of Madalina's disappearance, head to WCNC.com. In Cornelius, Jesse Pierre, WCNC Charlotte.
So that was really a great interview today, to have that available. It's just been a long 6 months. I know the community here is so devastated that there's not more information, but at least her name is still getting out there. All we can do is keep sharing her story, sharing her face, sharing her flyers. Madalina is now 12 years old. Her birthday was April the 11th. So her birthday is come and gone, but her mom went back to court and for the drug charges, actually the week of her birthday. But the town of Cornelius, the Cornelius Police Department hosted, not a birthday party for her, but in essence, just to come together, remember Madalina, keep sharing her story. Her friends were interviewed. It was really a sweet day. But, we celebrated her 12th birthday while she's been missing. So, we can only hope and pray that she is still alive somewhere out there. There is hope. I know there's some folks that, we've been going back and forth about, God only knows what's happening with her, right? It's pretty scary to think about what is going on, but at least if she is out there, she can find help if we can bring her home. So everyone just really should keep sharing her story and her face. If you haven't already, make sure you join our Where is Madalina Cojocari Facebook group, because we have a worldwide community there. Lots of love and support for Madalina. It's a wonderful community. Lots of, chats and things like that. So you can get all the latest information there. But any thoughts or any questions out there? Let me see.
I'm really thankful that the school officials, followed protocol and was able to find out that she was missing. Because, like you said, if not for the school officials, we would have never known.
Exactly.
No one would have,
No.
because it's not like they have a lot of family here, because they are, the mother, Diana, and Madalina both are from Moldova. So they're not even from this country. A lot of their family is not here, very few family members. So I don't even know that any of her family or his family would have missed her.
Exactly. And it's so strange, going back to, the beginning of the case. I know we've all talked about it and speculated and whatnot, but her aunt is pretty famous in Moldova. She's a singer. She's got thousands of followers and stuff. And she talked to Diana the week that Madalina actually went missing, but yet there's been hardly any post or, pleas for help or anything like that coming from, her extended family on her mom's side. I do know Christopher's side had embraced her as family. But otherwise, it doesn't seem like any of her family actually knew she was missing, So I am really thankful that the school officials stepped up and did what they were supposed to do and followed literally the letter of the law. We have truancy laws here in our state. So thank God that they actually followed through and did what they were supposed to do, because otherwise, God only knows how much longer it would have been till she was actually reported missing. So that's pretty scary. If you want to chat with us, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and you'll have to wait 1 minute, but then you can pop into the chat with us if you want to chat. If you have any questions, if you're new to the case, we'd love for you to chat with us. We're here to answer any questions. Juju and I have been here from the beginning, following this case, and I'm from the area. So this is hit pretty hard, close to home rather. So if you want to join in our chat, we'd love to have you. But yeah, so lots of family on her extended side, on her mother's side, but there's been no outreach for help or anything like that we can tell. There's been some interviews done, but they're all pretty shady, pretty against what we've come to know. We do know, or we have a feeling that drugs are involved, narcotics to be specific, per investigative information released by law enforcement. So we don't really know. There's so much left up in the air on this case, and things are just so quiet. And I've become really great friends with Sluggy and Juju through this case. And, you know, based on our conversations, it's just unlike any case that they've seen as well. Usually search warrants, when they're released, we at least get a little bit of information. But what Juju was saying earlier is there's actually nothing, nothing at all. Very little to go off of. And the Cornelius police actually, per, you know, WCNC's interview with them, they really want everyone to study that new video pretty closely. I know we took screenshots of the video today, and I was trying to determine if I could recognize anything in the background of the video. Like there's an interstate that goes through. So if anyone's able to take a screenshot and zero down on that interstate sign to see if we can recognize like what exit that was, or if you recognize that sign. There's a gas station. Gas was pretty cheap wherever they were.
209, man. I wish it was now.
For real. I'm paying like 3 something. I was like, that's the first thing I think all of us recognize. I was like, oh my God, the gas is only 209. But
Yeah.
but if you recognize anything in those videos, just to let us know if you have seen anything. I think it's interesting that, you know, they've had those videos for a while, obviously, trying to figure things out, and they've gotten hundreds of leads, but nothing's ever panned out. So I don't know how a person can just go, they just vanished. How can Madalina just vanish and no one knows? But I guess it is possible, but I would hope that someone's seen something out there.
Like what they have released, and correct me if I'm wrong, so they did find evidence in the house. That's correct, right?
Yes, they did. They took out I want to say it was the 20th, 21st, somewhere around in there. They did execute a pretty big search warrant in the house. They brought out, it was kind of weird, like a weird small, medium-sized Rubbermaid looking container. You couldn't see through it. And then after that, they brought out a few envelopes, like, you know, not mailing, but, you know, those larger size manila. Yeah, there you go. Manila envelopes. And then they also brought out paper bags, which indicates to us that there's some sort of evidence of liquid substance that was found in the house. And then there was a large black trash bag. And when the light hit it a certain way on that video, you could see inside. It looked like pink and yellow. I'm going to speculate that it could have been her bedspread or some bedding or something of that nature. And they spent a ton of time in that bedroom that we believe to be Madalina's. But they spent a ton of time in that house that night. They've been back since. I believe it was in February, if I'm not mistaken, January, February timeframe. They did bring the dogs back to the house, but I don't think the DA was out there as well, if I'm not mistaken. But they did execute another search warrant then, and there was a small one executed outside of the house prior to them going into the house that evening. I want to say it was the weekend that the parents were arrested. They did execute a search warrant for their backyard and things like that. They did take, evidence from that fire pit area. They did not dig up the backyard, guys. I know that's there was folks saying they dug up their whole yard. They did not, but they did take a lot of evidence from that fire pit. So I think they know more than what they're telling us, which I respect law enforcement a lot, but I would appreciate at least some sort of presser or some sort of information. Videos are great, but I wish they would tell us a little bit more or release something else that would help us help them, if that makes sense.
While you was talking about the house and what evidence they found, I know we was talking earlier about the apartment.
Yes.
Allegedly, that Chris said that he was making in the house, and he had it blocked off with plywood in the dining room?
Yes, which was super weird. So apparently they told police the first time they came to the house that they were doing some sort of home renovation situation, but they were building an apartment, and they had blocked off. There was like a doorway area that was blocked off with plywood. Behind that plywood looked like it would have been maybe like a formal dining room or something of that nature. It wasn't huge, not a huge area, but it was behind their kitchen. But law enforcement did tell us that there was no permit for them to, build or do construction on that house. But yeah, some plywood was in there. And to best of my knowledge, I don't think it's ever come out of the house. I haven't seen it, but that was odd for sure. Super strange. But I don't know if there was anything else said about that plywood, but it just doesn't, it's a pretty roomy house. So if they were going to have, family there or something like that, there was at least another bedroom. I think there were 4 bedrooms in the house, but very strange for the plywood to be in there. And why on earth? I don't think they were building an apartment, in my opinion. You never know. But
I think they were hiding evidence.
I do too.
A piece of plywood over a doorway or a window through, however it was, is not a way to build an apartment. No carpenter would do that. That's just not the way you even start.
That sounds like something I would do if I was trying to do construction. Just
Probably
saying.
have to remember, Chris, if you go on his Facebook, he had the woodworking stuff, remember?
Mm-hmm.
So that man knows a few things about building things. He would not have done it like that. They were hiding evidence.
Oh, God, yeah. And they also burned evidence. That's pretty obvious as well. And before anyone
all allegedly,
asked,
of course.
Oh, yes, allegedly. Allegedly, they were burning furniture in their backyard. But, I know that they've searched the lakes around here. Lake Norman is huge. Their neighborhood, backed up to a smaller lake, is pretty confined by, if you're looking at Interstate 77, it would be on the right-hand side, and it's landlocked. So you can't get under the bridge or over to the larger side of their lake. But they have searched that lake a million times, I feel like, and they've come up with nothing. I just don't know. I think that's too close to home. I think both Diana and Chris are very intelligent people. I just want everyone to remember that.
And they both took trips out of the county, right?
Yes. So the mom went to the mountains, Madison County. It's closer to like the border of Tennessee. It is dense, wooded area. Looks creeps McGee. I mean, I would never be out there by myself. That's
just looking at it from like Google Maps. It looks like it's even a place where they couldn't do like a grid ground search, because it looks like some areas just really wouldn't be accessible.
No, I mean, you'd have to be
a
professional hiker. Yeah, it's like for real mountains, y'all. For those that haven't been in North Carolina mountains before, I mean, it is creeps. I know Michelle and I were on her live a couple months back, and we were on Google Maps doing the whole deal, and we both were like, heck no. Like, I would not be there at all. And there was another guy we met through our group who actually lives there and has done some searches, and they've come up with nothing. But it'd be impossible unless you really knew where to look there. It would take lots of men and women on foot who really knew how to hike to be in those mountains looking for her. But you never know. But yeah, they did have evidence that Diana went there, obviously. And then allegedly Chris went to Michigan, which is crazy, that week of Thanksgiving. So no one's been able to confirm that or not for us.
And he does have family there, but if he was going for Thanksgiving dinner, it's kind of odd that he doesn't bring his family with him, I would think.
Exactly. I just think that it's kind of crazy. I mean, and you would think that the family there may have said, oh gosh, yeah, we saw her here. I can't believe she's missing. But it's been super quiet. They haven't said much at all. The little that we did hear from them, they were just heartbroken that Madalina was missing, but they weren't able to offer much else. The family has been super quiet. Obviously, I'm sure their legal teams have probably told them not to speak to anyone, but we did have a huge fundraiser for the Cornelius Police Department, and I do know that they donated to that. So they do support our group, and they are members of the group, and they do hear our support,
Yeah, I
whether
think
we
there's
don't remember
definitely
it or
a
not.
few of them that once Madalina found and they care very much. I think they may be keeping quiet because after speaking with law enforcement, they asked them to. Where everything's so close-lipped right now, that's what I would think.
Exactly. Yeah. And they keep extending the court case too, which I know is really frustrating for everyone in our group. It's frustrating for me for sure, because I'm someone who's not a very patient person. Like I want answers 6 months ago, but it's taught us all a lesson in patience, that's for sure. But they do keep pushing this court case out. I don't know. I can't remember how long they can be held on failure to report a missing child, but I have some sort of hope that they may have evidence that they're trying to build a case without having, concrete evidence of some description that tells us one way or another what happened. If that makes sense.
Under Casey's law, because that's what they've held them on, right? The Casey's law where you don't
Casey
report a
Anthony
missing
law.
child.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So under that law, I think, and Sluggy knows for sure because she's the one who told me, but I think it's 18 months they can hold them.
Gosh. So then,
Yeah.
I mean, that could be what they're doing in this case. And then maybe that's going to be, after 18 months, they're going to have to do something. But personally, I think, so the parents in this case, they're not helpful at all, right, guys? They're not saying a word. I think if either one of them are saying anything, it's Chris saying something, and not Diana. Diana just looks shady. Both of their behaviors are completely shady. Number one.
Yeah, she looks really shady, but then her family wants to act like she was mistreated by Chris, correct?
Correct. Yeah, there was this whole
and when
thing
I look
about
at her,
being
I don't
abused.
see a woman that's been pushed around at all. I don't think he could say anything to that woman where she wouldn't bite his head off. She just looks grouchy.
I mean,
seriously.
I think we were talking today or the other day about if she's not afraid to have drugs in jail, that woman's not afraid of anything. I mean,
no, she's not afraid of Chris, that little troll, for sure.
No, I think Chris was afraid of losing her and that family. I think he is not innocent of crime. I think there was something going on there, possibly SA going on in that home. So I think he's not talking because he doesn't want to be found guilty of that. And so he's just going along to get along at this point. So he's not charged with a crime. That's equally as bad. And I think she was the leader of that house. I think Sluggy talked to a friend of their family who was used to going over there as a child. Her best friend growing up in elementary school used to go over there, I believe. And the mother, has said something to the effect of that, Diana was in charge of that house. She ran the show, so to speak. So I don't think Diana is this victim by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think she's a victim. I think she's a jealous person by nature, vain, obviously addicted to drugs on some level. But I don't know. I mean, everyone has painted her out, like her family definitely has painted her out as this victim. But I think we're both on the same page. I don't see either one of them being innocent on any level in this case, but I definitely think Chris, despite his faults and what he needs to own up to in this case, just played a blind eye to it all. And he works. So I would think that if he had a drug problem, it would have been known. Especially if it was narcotics. Don't you think at work someone would have noticed that something was off with him?
I don't know, man. I've had people work with me and be coke heads and me not even know till I see them pour out a line and be like, what the hell are you doing? So,
True.
but maybe that's just me. Maybe I just, see the best and don't think the worst. But I'm not somebody that can pick that out. So,
No, not at all. I would just think that maybe there was some sort of clue there, but I just don't think that he doesn't strike me as that, but other people seem to think that.
what it does strike me as, though?
What?
Today, after we talked about the cousin of hers in Florida,
Yes.
and what did come out in the paperwork about the trafficking and that part of the FBI that was, researching those phones for the trafficking side of it, for drug trafficking. I really think that he could have been involved in drug trafficking, and maybe that's why him and Diana were together. Maybe that was their connection. He had to have some connection to Moldova.
Exactly.
He married the woman.
Exactly. There was some sort of connection there that we just don't know all the ins and outs of it. But in all of the searches of their house, we did see his car in the driveway. We did a lot of research on the cars, y'all. But we do know that his car was pictured in like the Google Maps. I initially thought it belonged to either Diana or Chris, but it wasn't. It was actually Octavian's car, and he lived there for a while. So God only knows what they had going on in that house. But, I will say that the most damning part of all of this was when we talked to Jessica. She really shared a lot of information about that family and a lot about Madalina that we never would have known if we had not talked to her, because no one could tell us about Madalina. We were all, speculating, but no one really knew about Madalina, what she was like, about the family dynamic or anything. But the most damning part of all of this to me is when they were in that store with PDA making out, knowing good and well that Madalina's been missing. That's what freaks me out a lot.
That tells us right there that there was no separating. They were not mad at each other. She was not scared. I mean, if it looked like they were all over each other, and, somebody that sees them frequently would know if something was off, if he was like making her do that,
Right.
So,
and they lied. They blatantly lied, had lies ready. Because, Jessica would say,
and everything, huh?
Yes. I mean, my God. I mean, that is just sick. It is sickening. And, Jessica really, really loved Madalina. They got, they were bonded. You get used to the people, that you see on a regular basis. They know all about us, especially the people at the grocery store. Like if you're having a bad day and you're going into your local store and you see the same person every day and they're like, oh, hey, how are you? You're just like, you know what, girl, it has been a bitch of a day. You're just going to let it out. And they know more about us than what we think. And I know that Madalina formed a bond with her because of, animals and horses and stuff like that. And I mean, Jessica has been devastated by this. She is just heartsick over this. But if it weren't for her, we would never have known some of these other intricate details about that case. And the fact that they were both either together in the store or separate, but in the store, while Madalina has been missing, and lying about it. Both of them either together or separately lied about where she was. And they both had different stories about it and stuff, which is sick. And
Jessica's not like some local just wanting to gossip, like she wanted to jump up on panel. Jessica had nothing to gain. She actually took a tax for coming out and speaking on this. So I think that just makes her all the more credible.
Absolutely. If y'all have not watched that interview, you've got to go over to Sluggy Sleuth's channel at some point and watch that interview. It is one hell of an interview.
And drop it.
Yeah, definitely do that. I mean, it is the best interview that we've had. Be prepared to get emotional, though. I know. I think all of us were pretty emotional. We were just shell-shocked by it all. But it is, given the timeline, I know we did a quick review of the timeline. But given the timeline, and once you know what the timeline is, to hear her interview about what was going on while no one knew that Madalina was missing, it will just make your heart drop to your stomach. It just makes you just feel sick, just to hear what she has to say. But if y'all haven't watched that interview, you've got to go watch it because
A
it's
quick
great.
question, Allie.
Yeah.
Is that where the locals speak on Madalina, or what's next? The local joins the conversation. Do you know?
It could
Oh,
be
no,
either
wait. I
one.
just found it. It's the local speaks about interactions with Diana and Chris. That's the one.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Sorry.
that's it. No, you're good. Yeah, that one's a good one though, y'all. Y'all got to watch that because it's amazing what we found out. And yeah, Jessica had nothing to has and still has nothing to gain by by any of this. But I do know that she's been heavily involved with the investigation, and law enforcement leaned pretty heavily on her. And I'm sure they still do, asking questions about just those weeks and days going into, with her being missing since Thanksgiving, because you can imagine how busy that time of year is anyway, because that's the holidays. And that's just crazy. The whole interview just makes your jaw drop. I was like, I think I have to take my jaw up off the floor. But y'all should definitely go watch that.
Yeah, I wasn't
for sure.
expecting that at all.
No. I mean, making out in the grocery store. And everyone at that point, I remember all of us were really, I don't think you and I felt this way, but we had a lot of people thinking Diana's this victim. She's a victim. She's been abused. Chris is the only one responsible. There was a lot of that going on, but I just didn't feel like that was true. I mean, there was something about Diana and her face and her,
I've never
her
thought that
eyes.
at all.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I just
She
don't
just
think
looks
that's true.
mean.
She really
I
does.
can't help it.
Cold.
I hate to be that judgy about it, but I mean, I don't
Well,
hate it now because her daughter's gone and it's her fault. I mean, she's the mother. I know he had part in it, but it's definitely big time her fault.
Exactly. And if let's just say that so both of them had said to the other one, "Did you hide her?" I don't understand what that would have meant except for bringing the drugs into play. So let's just say that they're scared of someone that could hurt Madalina, their family, or whatever. Okay, let's just say that's the case. Both of her parental figures are now in jail. The child is missing. What do you have to still gain by not saying anything while you're in jail? I mean, if you are that scared of someone and you have an innocence in any of this, why not speak up? Why not say something now that you're behind bars? And
You know, I still
instead,
have people.
go ahead.
I still have people trying to defend her, saying it's because she was from another country and their culture is
No.
different. But how long had she been here?
Well, she has a
7
degree
years?
in English.
Yeah, so
She's a
she
super
completely
smart lady,
understands.
guys. Yeah. She totally understands. And she knew enough to call the cops when they thought their car got broken into. Let's not forget, you call the cops about your car, but not about your kid? What? I'm sorry, but that's just no. I mean, there's no defending the actions of either one of them at all. I've said to, Juju and Sluggy, I may not have my own children, but I do have a dog and she's like my child, and I have, my cousin's daughters, and we're a really tight knit family. And I have my, my neighbor's kids, and, we all have, the area I grew up in my current neighborhood, there's kids everywhere. And I would not go to sleep at night. I would be out there searching for them because they mean something to me. I might not be their parent, but I'm still an adult, responsible enough to, look at and see, oh, this child, there's something wrong with this child. This child's in danger. Let me report this. Let me do my part and advocate for a missing child who can't speak for themselves. I've grown up teaching children, and I would do the same for them as well. You bond with these kids like Jessica bonded with Maddie, and you would just walk through hell and back trying to advocate and find these kids. Meanwhile, her parental figures are saying nothing. And the mom has drugs in jail. I mean, that doesn't sound like a woman who's cooperating with investigations and trying to find her kid. And it doesn't look like a woman who's scared of someone who may or may not hurt her child. It just doesn't make any sense, guys. It doesn't make any sense. The drugs in jail tell me more red flags and more guilty red flags. All of the behavior is sus. All the behavior, in my opinion, just points towards something guilty, that, they know that there's something guilty, that they have done something, and they're just not fighting getting out of jail. They can't post bond, but yet they're not doing anything to help themselves. It's just crazy.
And her getting drugs in jail too, that lets us know that she's easily connected to criminals. I mean, I wouldn't think you should just walk up to anybody in jail and get drugs, right?
I wouldn't think so. I'd love to see I would love to know who's been there to see her.
Yeah.
How does she get
I
mean,
too.
she claims she, quote, found them in the shower, which, number one, I don't do jail. I would never survive jail. But even what I've heard about jail, I don't think if I found a baggie of drugs in the shower that I'd be like, oh, yeah. I think these are
There's
safe
nobody
to take.
leaving their drugs in the shower in jail. Maybe up their booty hole, but not in the shower for sure.
Exactly. I'm like,
I mean, they're worried about taking those.
I'm like, that is sickening. That is gross. You have a huge problem if you're like, oh yeah, let me take these out of here because this seems legit.
And that's a point. You said you have a huge problem. Well, she obviously has a huge drug problem to have jail
Yes.
drugs, because jail
Yes.
drugs are definitely smuggled in, and we all know where you put them at. So, I mean, it's just gross.
That's disgusting. Dry heave moment, y'all. Dry heave. That's disgusting. I just could. And she carried him around in her shirt for 5 days. I'm like, ugh.
My husband
know.
just hollered out prison purse.
I
I hadn't heard that term in forever.
don't think I ever heard it. Prison
I
purse.
don't even know where he picked it up at. He's never been to prison. He's been listening to too much true crime with me.
He's all about it. Oh gosh, but that's where things stand, guys. I know it's I think our group morale, Madalina's group, is just so, I mean, it's not low, but it's also not very positive right now. I think it's just stale because we just don't have a whole lot of information. So I would like to request that everyone in our group just refresh themselves, refresh their outlook on the case, and really start sharing Madalina's case more and more. I think we'll do some more lives on here just so we can, have maybe, just an open chat and invite some folks up and just hear other people's opinions and thoughts on things. I mean, it's one thing to talk, it's speculation, and we can speculate all day, guys. We try to speak facts, but the more we talk about it, the more we, share Madalina's story and get her name out there and put it back in the algorithm and things like that. Like hit the like on this video, share it, put your hashtag on it, and really, let's start getting Madalina's case back out there, because there is a chance that she is still alive and that she's out there. And we can be her voice. So I just would love for us to kind of just rejuvenate ourselves and our outlook and our spirit on this case. I know it's hard. I mean, summer's coming. I can't imagine what her classmates are thinking, which breaks my heart. I mean, Madalina should be closing out a school year in 6th grade. and looking forward to being in 7th grade and finishing her school year and having summer break and all those fun summer activities, going on vacation, the beach, going to the pool, things like that, just being a kid. And yet, her classmates are ending their year not knowing where she is, looking at her empty desk since November, not knowing where she is. And that's just heartbreaking to me. I know the community has really come together. And I think if we all just take a deep breath and just rejuvenate ourselves a little bit and kick this case back up into high gear and really start spreading her name out there, sharing her flyers, jumping on lives with us, opening, the chats and really starting to talk in a proactive way, positively to one another, sharing our thoughts and feelings and ideas and things like that. It just helps in general to kind of just get that out of your system so you're not holding on to that. I know I've been guilty of that in the past, couple months. It's just like so hard to talk about it because there's not a whole lot to say. I know we've said so many things over and over again, but, just keep sharing her story. It's just hard when there's not a whole lot of updates, and we know that for sure. But jump into some of our other groups too. I know we were working on Justice for Oakley, a little baby that unfortunately we lost. But, spend your time advocating for all of those that are missing. If you have a story to share, you can always share it with our admin group. Just let us know. And we're always willing to, open the floor up for other kids. We advocate for all. So think about Madalina, keep Madalina's spirit in mind, rejuvenate ourselves, and kind of keep sharing her case, sharing your thoughts and feelings and ideas, and speculate if you need to. Keep things positive, though. It's hard to keep morale up and keep everything boosted and things like that. But keep everything just positive as much as we can and keep praying for her. There is a chance she's still out there, I will say too, WCNC will have at 11 o'clock tonight, they will have, so if you are not a local in our area, WCNC Charlotte, just Google that. And there will be a larger story for her at 11 o'clock tonight with the same lady that did the 6 o'clock news with a shorter video clip. There'll be a longer story this evening. So make sure you hop on there if you haven't planned to do so. Plan on doing it 11 o'clock tonight. And then share that story, hop on, if you haven't joined our group, make sure you do that. But any last thoughts or any other things that we want to say before we close it out for the night?
I think you pretty much said it all. Of course, like you said, we want to keep Madalina's name out there, and there's not a lot to go on, and there's not a lot of updates. But if anybody has trouble finding content for her, I know any one of us three will make ourselves available to even come on panel with you.
Absolutely.
Or you can use some of the channel art that Allie has posted in the group. I know she doesn't care as long as you're using it to advocate for her.
Absolutely.
So even if you could just flash that during one of your lives, that would help too. And just keep her name out there.
Absolutely, guys. Well, it was a pleasure having everyone on tonight. And thanks so much for such a fabulous and successful first live for our channel, for the Alley Cat channel. That's so exciting. I was super excited to have my first live and be a part of this case. And I'm looking forward to doing more. And I'll call it a night for tonight. But find Madalina, hope for Maddie. Let us know, join our groups. Let us know if we can help advocate for Madalina on your channels or any other missing child. We'll be happy to do what we can for them as well. Just reach out to us. And I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. And thanks for joining our live and participating in our chats and things like that. And thanks for joining our group, the Where's Madalina Cojocari group. And on that note, lots of love to everyone and stay safe out there. We'll see you again next time. Thanks, Juju, so much for joining me.
See ya.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.